What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. I'm doing some book learning. I should have done this before. I was a bit cheesed off that when I did the fly cutter, which works really well, when I did this slot, I overshot it. So I did it exactly to dimension on here, because I thought it's a DRO, isn't it? It's going to be cock on. But I overshot it. I came in off dimension, so I've had to shim the thing. So that prompted a conversation with the fellas in the tool room. I was having a chat with Brett, and he basically I walked him through how I installed the DRO. So all the scales, I've measured them, you know, I've clocked them in with an indicator, and I've swept them all to make sure they're all dead level and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, well, it's, as long as it's level, you know, it's digital, isn't it? It's going to be cock on. It's going to be spot on. He went, have you done your linear compensation? And I went, no. Apparently you have to calibrate them as well. I didn't know that. I just assumed that it would all be calibrated, because I know they're all absolutely dead level and they're dead square and everything else. And I just thought, as long as that is it, then we're going to be in. Turns out it's not the case. So I've gone through the book of words. It is a bit grubby because it's had my oily paws all over it, but I will stick a picture of this up just so you can see what's what. But there's a calculation for compensation coefficients. Apparently there is always going to be a difference between the actual measurement and what this says. So once you calibrate it, you get rid of all that. So if you go through and do the math, you can work out what it is. So what I did is I got a piece of just old alley, and I drilled some holes in it. I was going to do holes and pegs because I wasn't sure how best to measure it, you know, with verniers or whatever else. But the holes at the front, they're spaced 120 mil and then another 150 mil, and I've drilled and reamed them out to accept to 10 mil, and I've got some 10 mil high-speed steel here. So he is currently zeroed on that one, and the peg is through the hole, as you can see. It goes through, but if I was to wind him out that hole and then wind him all the way across here until it reads 270, which is what the furthest hole should be. Come on. Right. Come on. Right, 270. Yes? He now goes in that hole. Straight in. And that's a reamed hole as well, don't forget. However, the measurement from that hole to that hole is actually 270.29. Well, basically 0.3 of a mil is more than enough to stop that peg going in the hole. So, how did I do it? If you're putting a DRO on your machine, you need to do this, because otherwise you ain't going to come in on size, and that's the thing that's worrying me most about doing these yokes. So I need to know that this is correct. So on this particular DRO, let me bring you in, I'll show you. Right, so the first thing to do is to, you need a test piece like this basically. You need to know given dimensions. So you need to know that those, you know, the way I did it was exactly by the DRO. So I've got two holes spaced 270 mil apart. However, when you measure them properly, and we did this on a Bridgeport that's got a DRO that's absolutely cock on, it comes up as 27.29. So you go through and do this little equation, which and I think this equation is going to be different, or it might be different, I don't know, between different DROs. You've got to have a look in your book of words and see what it says. But this one is the measurement, so what you think it is, in this case 270, minus the standard value, which is what it actually is, which in this case is 270.29, times that by 1,000, and then divide the whole thing by the standard value again, which is the 270.29, and you end up with 1.0740, whatever it is, 1.07. You can only enter integers on this, but to enter this compensation value, turn it off, turn it on, and within a second press the enter button, and that takes you into the setup. Okay, so then you go through the up and down arrows, basically move you through the menu until you get to linear compensation. Hit enter again. Then you need to select the axis. So we're working with the x-axis at the minute, the left to right. So hit X, everything else disappears and you're left with, that's what you got to enter. Can only be an integer. The value we need to enter is 1.07, pretty much 1. So stick 1 in, press enter again, and that's obviously then saved it. And then if you press enter again, you'll come out of the setup. Okay? So you're just flipping between the two menu items within the setup. Then you can turn this off, turn it on again, and it is now working with that linear compensation value for that axis. So that's how come I had the peg in the 0 hole, moved it 270.29 mil, and that's what it is. So if I was to come out of that, right, so we're out of the hole, and then move it 270.29. A little bit too far. Come on. Zero. He should go straight back in his hole again. Which he does. Awesome! Right, now I've got to sort out my Y travel, because that's properly out. These holes are spaced 25 mil apart according to this. They're actually measuring 25.42. So nearly half a mil error in 25 mil. That is ridiculous. I think what I'm going to do is spin my vise around and I'll clock it all in so it's at 90 degrees to where it is, because that way I can use a much bigger distance just to check it's all good once I've once I've done this linear compensation thing. So go and get yourself a brew. I'll be back in a minute because this is going to take a while. So I had some great plans today. I was going to get in here early doors and make a proper start on it, but with Sam being on her holidays, I'm just not kipping right. So I think in the last 3 days I've had about an hour and a half sleep, which is rubbish, and I really shouldn't be doing this sort of stuff with an hour and a half sleep behind me, because it's a big nasty machine that will quite happily tear your arm off. But I saw my pit last night about, I don't know, 12:30. I didn't wake up until 1 o'clock today. About 12:30, something like that. Shocking, but I did need it. So anyway, so far what I've done, you haven't seen it. It's basically just been a morning of looking after Brian's needs. So because he's still puking oil out of the spindle, and I think I know why, I've had the covers off and I've topped him up with oil, so that's all good, and I've had a little check in there and make sure everything's peachy. I've also spent time and gone through and done the X and the Y linear compensation on the DRO. I still need to do Z, but I think what I'm probably going to do is get a block which I can sit in one side of the jaws, go down and touch off on it, then I'll go down and touch off on the base that obviously that piece is sitting in, and get another measurement, and then I can set my DRO up for Z, because that way I know that everything is absolutely cock on. For this, basically I just need to square this up and true it up. I'll just measure it. I've got my drawing, so I know my final dimensions and stuff, so I'll get that done. It's not that important at the minute, but it is going to get done. As far as the dimensions, because obviously that takes care of doing it properly on Brian, but the bit I was really worried about was had I measured them properly. So I took the yokes in to see Brett, and he's had a go at measuring them as well, and I'm not far out actually. In one of them, like the 210, I had it down as 210.48. It's actually 210.04, so I was a little bit out on that one. And the other one, I had it down as 39.5, and it comes out as 39.97. Thing is, why would a manufacturer go for 0.0 something or other as a true dimension on yokes when the tops and bottoms is basically squared off and whatnot? So we had a chat about it, and what we think is it's supposed to be 210 by 40, and the 0.0 something is just the machining error from the factory. I could live to regret that, but they wouldn't go for something stupid like that. And you know, there's going to be a machining error when I'm doing this as well, because you know, I'm not a machinist basically, not yet anyway. That's going to take years. But there's going to be a machining error when I do it, and I don't want to go too far the other way and make it even worse. So I'm going to shoot for 210 that way, 40 to the centre for the holes, and so on and so forth. But you know, we'll just have to wait and see. Right, it is questionable because I've got a bit to take off this. Ultimately we are going for, how much did I say? 60. We are currently, according to the guesstimators, 69.79, 69.8. So 9.8 mil to come off that, but I do have to take some off this side and some off the bottom. Then we'll measure it again and see how we are. But first up is I'm just going to dress everything up. So the surface that I fly cut originally, just testing this out, easy against the fixed jaw. Got a bit of alley TIG wire in the front. It's all tapped down and stuff. And we're just going to start facing stuff off basically. Where's my specs? Where's my specs? Ooh. Saves me getting shouted at by people. Right then. Okay, let's give this a go then. How good is that? Lovely. Right, let's do the next bit. Right, none of this is a how-to. None of it. You ain't getting that out of me. All that stuff about the DRO and everything else. You know, I am not a machinist. I still haven't started in the model shop yet. Basically, I can't move over until my replacement for the line has been found and trained. Now, he was supposed to start on Monday. Trouble is, the fella got pinged by that COVID app, so he's got to isolate for 10 days. So I ain't going to be getting in anyway to train until sort of middle of next week really. Once I get in there though, I'm going to get trained properly, and I am really looking forward to it. Like properly looking forward to it. This is the sort of stuff that I want to be doing, not just welding, it's all this sort of thing. So where I go through telling you this is how you set up a DRO, that's just because I had a chat with a fella who knows what he's talking about, and he told me about it, and then I went looking in the manual like what I should have done in the first place and set it all up properly. But I didn't because I'm a goon. Right, let's clean you off. You need a deburr. Right. 29.74. Right. So what I've done is I've trued up that face, the bottom and the front. Haven't done the side yet, we'll get to why in a minute. That's quite a chunky bit of kit and it needs a long end mill. So anyway, what does my drawing say? So that radius is 24 plus 67 to the front, so that's 91. So I need to get that down to 91. I could keep doing it with a fly cutter. That's going to take ages, so we're probably going to switch out to that 20mm end mill that gives a rubbish finish, take it nearly down to dimension, then I'll come back and finish it off with a fly cutter, just because I'm going to want to mark stuff up and I like a nice flat surface. I'm loving the finish you get with a fly cutter. That's awesome. Right, so let's get you out and stick the nasty bit in. Right then, let's see how we did. So they're on 0. I was aiming for 91 and I've ended up on 90.99. Where's the micrometers? .99. That'll do. That's close enough for first go. I actually left 0.3 on it, thinking I'd take the rest of it out with the fly cutter. Went down and just touched off and took it off, and I've ended up 0.01 over, so never mind. Alright, you can go up there safe and sound. He's nice though. It's a good starting point, very good starting point. Right, let's do a bit of deburring and then we can do the other side. Alright, so I'm aiming for 60. And we're currently at 60.56, which is fine. I'm happy with it at the minute. because we need to do something. Because of the width of the cutter, that's 20mm, and because of where I've got the vise located on the bed, I can't get in and do this edge. It's not, I haven't got the travel basically. So I think all I'm going to do is leave it there. I am going to set a 0 so I can come down to the same height. I'll spin the block around in the vise so I can machine off that little shoulder, and then I'll take it down to size with a fly cutter. The chips. Oh my god. Right, so we'll be having to tidy up in a minute as well then. Right then, went the other way on that one. I was looking for 60mm, ended up on 60.01. I would say that 0.01 cancels out the other one, but it just don't. I'm quite pleased with that. That has come up a treat. The fly cutter just puts a lovely finish on it, and if you wanted to like blow it up and mark it or whatever, it's great surface to be doing it on. The only two surfaces that I've not dressed in is this one and this one, the two ends, and I don't really need to. All the references that I'm taking when I actually do the machining is all going to be done from a centre line. So all I need to do is to find the centre of this, roughly, and we're in. I'll just take everything off that, I'll set it on the DRO as an absolute, job's a good one. This currently measures 282mm. The overall width of the yokes is 265mm, according to my drawings. So, you know, it's all going to get trimmed off and stuff anyway, and then it's going to be radius, so I don't really need to face them off. But that is step one. I've now got a block which is basically the outside dimensions of the yoke that I'm going to be making. Happy days, eh? Day well spent. I will say, Brian is looking a little bit sorry for himself, and he is covered in chips. I've got a bucket that's half full of chips, and there's everything that is still on the bed because I haven't cleaned it up since I pulled this out. So that is going to be first job tomorrow, but I am back in here tomorrow, and the idea is we're going to start putting holes in this, and I want to try and get them in the same place as they are on the original one, because it would just be better. Before I go though, I do owe someone an apology. I am very sorry. Glyn, he messaged me, he's one of the patrons, and I don't know what happened, but you know, when I'm doing the videos, I put that thing up either there or there. I think it's over there. Just, you know, thanking everybody for their support. I don't know how, but his name dropped off it. Now, I know that's not the reason why he's chipping in and helping us out. And the patrons are gold. They, you know, their help is just massive. It makes us doing this stuff a hell of a lot, you know, easier, because it costs money to do all this. So them chipping in a little bit every month really helps. But the way I do the videos is I've got everything templated, so to start a new video I'll just grab a template and start building on that. And I think what happened is I grabbed an old template, and unfortunately it didn't have Glyn's name on, so I am sorry matey. I know I messaged you back and we've had a chinwag and stuff, but you know, apology from me to you, I didn't mean to do it, I really didn't. There's been a few people asking how I do like the comic book transitions and the Batman thing and all that stuff, so at some point I might even do a video on that, just showing you what I do, because apparently a few people want to do it as well, but we shall see. First up, I'm getting this done. So anyway, that's where I'm leaving it today. I'm going to go home and have my dinner. I was going to have fish and chips, but I think I've had my fill of chips today. So it's probably going to be a kebab. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. We will see you again on the next one. Later.